New this morning, CNN has learned that Russia has reached out to China both for military and economic support. That's according to two U.S. officials. So consider where that is coming from. For sure, they want this out there. China, for its part, is denying this report. They don't know anything about it. That's what one of the embassy officials said. Let's discuss this now with the former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine and the vice president of strategic stability at the U.S. Institute of Peace, William Taylor, with us now. What does this signify to you that Russia has asked China for military and economic help?
Brianna, I think this suggests that Mr. Putin is desperate, that if he needs help at this point in this fight, which he thought would be over by now. You remember, he thought he would be in Kyiv in 3 days, and the Ukrainian military has denied him that day after day. We're in what, day 19? So Mr. Putin may be desperate here. He may need the financial help. He didn't think that the sanctions were going to be so tough and so broad and so unified with their implementation. And he didn't think that he would have trouble supplying his military. So now he needs both military support from the Chinese and economic support on the sanctions. So I think this may be a sign of desperation on the part of Mr. Putin.
It's really interesting, desperation. And I wonder how concerned you are that Russia has hit so close to the border with Poland, really just, I think, about 12 miles away, very close to Lviv, which has so far avoided a lot of bombardment.
That may be yet another sign. I mean, he can send missiles, although we understand that he sent 30 missiles into Yavoriv, into that site, and 22 of them were shot down, according to the Ukrainians, but 8 got through. But bombarding cities like Mariupol and others is something they can do without the need for the ground troops. The ground troops are having a hard time. The ground troops are not succeeding. They are out of ammunition. They're apparently out of food, out of fuel. So the ground offensive is going poorly. What he can do is fire missiles. So I think, again, that's an indication that it's not going well for him. He's looking for other routes.
Fires missiles. He further turns the Ukrainians against him. I mean, he's making rubble of their cities. Do you see this stretching into NATO territory?
I think neither side wants that. Certainly, the NATO folks are not interested in that fight, and I bet that the Russians are not interested in taking on. They know that NATO is much stronger than the Russians. They know that, and for them to intentionally bring the NATO troops, weapons, economies into that fight, that would be a terrible mistake. He's made mistakes before. The invasion of Ukraine is a mistake, so we can't rule it out, but they don't want to fight with NATO.
What do you make of I think we're always watching Kyiv, right? That's where we're watching the most closely. What do you make of the explosions there that you've seen today?
Again, you just showed that how they try to go across the river. The river is a real boundary. It's a
European
real barrier.
river.
The Dnieper River.
The Dnieper River.
Dnieper River goes right through Kyiv. Part of Kyiv is on the left bank side, on their side. Part is on the right bank side. And they're trying to get across into the main part, and they were foiled. Again, the ground troops have not had success, so they can bombard. They haven't yet bombarded the downtown. It's wrenching to think that beautiful city could be the site of devastation like we see in Mariupol.
I know you will feel it in your heart if you see that happening, I know. These talks, and I should just say, we were just showing video of a river. I believe that is the pontoon bridge on the Irpin River that was destroyed, a different river. These talks, are you optimistic that something may come from them? Because we're getting some signals.
We are, from both sides, actually. The signals are coming from both sides. Optimistic is too strong. I would love to be optimistic about this, but the only time we're going to see optimism, the only way we're going to be optimistic is if President Putin allows his negotiators to make a deal. His negotiators sound like they're working on a deal, and I know the Ukrainians are. I know that they've got some things on paper, and they're having concrete discussions about what should happen, what needs to happen from the Ukrainian standpoint. Until Mr. Putin allows that to happen, there may even be a meeting, they say, between Mr. Putin and Mr. Zelensky. President Zelensky, and that would be a good sign too, but until Putin agrees, it's going to be hard to be optimistic.
Yeah, he may still be able to achieve a victory, but a Pyrrhic victory it's sort of looking like at this point. Ambassador, always great to have you and your insights. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brianna.